Hello once again, this is James. Welcome to this video yet again of the VLOOKUP function. V stands for vertical. This function can be used to categorize entries based on a table given. What makes up the VLOOKUP function? It can well work like the if function, as we shall see as we proceed. But what makes the if function, what makes up the VLOOKUP function? Just like we saw in the if function, it has parts or arguments. Similarly, the VLOOKUP function also has arguments or parts. There are mainly three parts. This is what we call the lookup value. This is the figure whose category or grade you want. That could be the student's mark, for example. The table array is the scale from which the categories or grades are to be based, or where you're basing your awards. And the column index number is the number of the column on scale, that is on the table array, in which the categories or the grades are located. What are the key points to note when you are using VLOOKUP? One, if the scale is in range form, for example 0 to 10, 11 to 20, and so on, we only consider the lower limit. That is to say, 0 to 10 we shall take 0, 11 to 20 we shall take 11, and so on. The table array whose scale must be, underline that word, must be organized in ascending order. Otherwise, you might not get what you want. And lastly, the scale must be fixed when being referred to in the function. This is done by pressing the F4 key on the keyboard. Let us try an example and we see how it happens. We're going to go into the Excel and we're going to use our previous example, but this time we are going to grade the students basing on this scale. What happens is that we are supposed to have our scale or our values being generated from this scale here. And as we go back to our points to note here, he said the scale, if it's in range form, then we consider the lower limit. So we're going to come up here and we redo our scale. Okay, so this is 80 to 100. We shall take only 80. Then in the next column we shall call that A. The next one, 70 to 79, which is B, we shall only take 75 and we shall call that a B. 70 to 74 we shall only take 70 and we shall call this C. 65 to 69 we shall take 65 and we shall call this D. 60 to 64 we shall take 60 and we shall call this E. 55 to 59 we shall take 55 and we shall call this F. Then 54 and below, so when we come back to our rules here, 54 and below, that means 54 up to 0, so it means we shall make this 0 and we call this X. Well, the other rule, let's try to make this a bit uniform. Hope members know this technique. We can highlight any one of them, come back here, take the format painter and drag. Wow, hope you learned that technique if you didn't know it, so that they become uniform. Now, coming back to this, it says the scale must be organized in ascending order, which is not the case here. This is descending order from the biggest to smallest. So we shall highlight all of them, come back to our home, then we come here to sort and filter, and we say sort smallest to largest. Wow, that is it. So having done all of that, I think we are good to go. We can start our formula such that we try to get these grades. So we shall go back to our fx. Hope you still remember it, where we get our functions. We say click fx. If the formula is not among the recently used, we saw what to do. We say all, then you try to type it, VLOOKUP, and click go. To bring it up, click in it and say OK. Note that it has those arguments as we saw. Hope members can be able to see them properly, the arguments. And get a magnifier here to make it more vivid so that we see these arguments. So if you look at it carefully, it says the lookup value, the table array, and the column index number. Well, this time we shall not look at the range lookup, since it's not really necessary in this case. So we'll come back now to our system, and we can zoom out a little bit. Then we say our lookup value is now, we say, the first figure. Then the table array, you select all of these figures. And they said after selecting them, you're supposed to press F4. Notice what happens to the figures. They will get this dollar sign. This means they are fixed or they are absolute. You have to do that, otherwise you may not get very correct answers. And the column index number is supposed to be the column in the table array which contains the grade. The table array consists of two columns, the one where they are the marks and the second one where they are the grades. So the grades are in the second column. So this is column number 2. So we put there 2 and we say okay. Wow, I think it is right. If you look at 78 falls in the range of 75 to 79. So it is business, good business here. Let us try it one more time for the second person before we fill handle. We go back to our fx. Since you've used it now, it's already in the recently used, we say okay. Click in the lookup value. Go to the table array, highlight all the figures. Don't forget to press F4. So you notice the dollar signs which come, and the column index number, which is the column in which the grades are found, the number of the column in which the grades are found. In this case they are 2. So you put 2 and okay. If you notice 0 to 54, those people get X, so I think it's right. Then you can go ahead and fill handle. Wow, think our answers are correct. So thanks guys for watching. See you in the next video.